All right, Joey, tell us about Toby.
Okay. Toby was a cat that we had a number of years ago. And actually, Toby was born in Santa Cruz. His mother was an odd-eyed white, one blue eye and one yellow eye. And she had 4 kittens. Toby was one. He was a silver-gray tabby, very pretty. Not the smartest boy in the world, but very pretty boy. Anyway, I wound up keeping Toby and his mother, Mariah. And when I split up from my ex-husband, I took Toby and Mariah with me. And I moved into an apartment in Santa Cruz, and after a while, Jim moved in with me. And so we were living in the apartment in Santa Cruz with Toby and Mariah and Toby, who was another tabby cat that we had found. Anyway, so the story of Toby is that, as I said, Toby was not the brightest boy in the world. He was a very brave cat. He actually had a great deal of courage and tenacity, and we saw this in several different instances, which I'll tell you about if you like. Anyway, at one point in time, we were talking about Toby with some friends, and Jim said Toby had never caught anything in his life. He was obviously not a hunter at all and didn't have a clue about hunting. And so Toby went out, and we kept on talking with our friends. And we were talking in the living room, and Jim had bare feet, and no more than 10 minutes later, Toby came back in through the front door with a large snake in his mouth, and he dropped it right on Jim's bare feet.
That's awesome.
That's the only time, as far as I know, that Toby ever caught anything. But I think he just wanted Jim to see that, yeah, if he wanted to, he could catch something. So he did. So anyway, it was quite a scene. Jim leaped about 6 feet in the air, and we tried to catch the snake, and we put the snake out.
Oh, the snake was still alive?
Oh, yeah. The snake was definitely alive. It was thrashing around on Jim's feet.
Oh, that's even better.
So, yes, definitely. Anyway, as I said, I was going to tell you that Toby was a very brave cat, had a great deal of courage, because when we were living in this apartment in Santa Cruz, it was a second-floor apartment, and we let the cats in and out, and Toby didn't come back one day, and so we were very concerned about Toby, and he didn't come back. He didn't come back, and we looked and looked for him. And finally, 3 days later, we heard a cry outside the front door, and we went out, and there was Toby. And he was obviously injured, took him to the vet, and both of his front legs were badly broken. And yet somehow, even though his legs were broken, he managed to haul himself up the 2 flights of stairs to get to our second-floor apartment. So he was a brave boy.
How did he break his legs?
We have never found out, have no idea. So, I mean, just who knows. Another time, after we had moved to Ben Lomond, Toby got stuck up in a tree. And this happens many times to cats because, of course, their claws work going up like this, but then they don't work the same way coming down. So a lot of times cats get stuck in a tree until they figure out that they have to come down backwards. They can't go down forward. So anyway, Toby was up in a tree. And he was up in a tree, and he was up in a tree, and I was getting more and more worried because days literally were passing, and so, we didn't know what to do. People always said, well, you never see a dead cat up in a tree. He'll come down. Well, he didn't come down. And I told the story about petting the rattlesnakes.
Yes.
Well, the same guys that kept the rattlesnakes were also tree workers, tree trimmers and tree toppers and like that. So we called them because we knew them and said, could you please come out and see if you can rescue our cat? So nice guys, they came out, they climbed the tree, and unfortunately, Toby being Toby, the closer they got to him, the higher he went up in the tree. And so finally he was at a point where the branch was literally swaying up and down. There was no way the guys could get any closer to him. So they came back down and said, we're sorry, we did our best. And so the 5th day, I said, okay, this has gone on long enough. I figured he was pretty hungry and thirsty by then. So I got a picnic basket with a handle, and I put a little towel on the bottom, and I put in a big bowl of, it was either Fancy Feast or tuna, something that had a real strong smell, wet food. And put a rope on it, long rope, and asked Jim if he would please throw one end of the rope over a limb that was fairly close to Toby so that we could haul the basket up. Well, Jim thought that was a ridiculous idea. It would never work. Toby would never get in the basket, so on and so on and so forth. So I said, look, we've got nothing to lose. Just go ahead and do it. So finally, after a lot of arguing, Jim threw the rope over the branch, and hauled the basket up. And as soon as the basket got even close to Toby, Toby jumped in the basket and started eating. And then we slowly lowered the basket down and got Toby up.
I like it.
And that's the end of the Toby story.
I like it. Thank you.
You're welcome.